Most common challenges that prevent you from achieving true leadership mastery. This is a very important topic, and it will be the subject and focus of this month, to explore these type of challenges that prevent you really from systematically grow as a leader. And there's different types of problems. They fall basically in different buckets, so to speak. And what I want to go is in each of these buckets gradually, step by step, and help you that you become more familiar with these buckets, because once you actually become familiar with these buckets, that's raising awareness for these type of buckets. This is when you actually start to recognize these patterns in yourself, and that's the first step for change, obviously. And so there will be a tech leader meetup toward the end of the month, where I want to explore this and go a little bit deeper. Let's first look, at least today in this short video, high level, what those aspects are, and give you a flavor of what we will be talking about in this tech leader meetup. So the first aspect is, and I talked about this in a separate video already, making yourself really a priority. It sounds obvious, but it's unfortunately not the case. Many are not making themselves a priority. Everything is important. Deadlines, the project, business, all these aspects of what needs to be achieved. This is all important stuff. Family, friends, everyone around them is so important. Usually the business is the most important thing, whatever the current project is and whatever the deadlines that are associated with it. But they forget about themselves, making themselves not a priority. That means everything falls through the cracks. That's the first one that prevents you from achieving true leadership mastery, if you're not making yourself and your personal growth a priority. So the next one is around, I also talked about this before, procrastination. That is a typical one that, I could do this, maybe next month is a good time to do it. Oh, next year, that is great to do this next year. So you'll find excuses how to postpone things, not tackling them. And that is a general theme. It may be related to procrastination to different areas of your life. But that is something when there is not enough energy for decisions, or not taking accountability for your own, or ownership for your decisions. So this is a big topic to explore, procrastination. It prevents you from your leadership and personal growth. Also, another one is not using a data-driven approach when it comes to your own personal and leadership growth. This is so ridiculous if you think about it. You may be a leader in tech or in product, and you're using, I'm very sure, very confident, if you're using in a world-class organization where you're doing engineering and tech, and if you're not using a data-driven approach, you're out, right? Tell your boss that if he or she asks you, what about the status of this project, or how's the engagement coming along, or how, right? And then you say, I don't really know, it feels good, but no, so it's not. Then if the next question, what are the numbers? And I say, I don't really know, I do it by gut feeling. I'm sure you will be fired, right? That's the thing, how to look at them. So it's very natural to look at data and numbers for your projects, but people have problem to do this, apply this to their own mind, to their body, and to awareness. So what the heck? I mean, why wouldn't you look at the same rigorous, basically in a rigorous fashion, looking at yourself in the same way, looking at clear data and KPIs? This is a big problem, and it helps you. It's not. It's basically it also is a way that it prevents you actually then from achieving leadership mastery. So numbers are important. Not always, in a sense, for the long term. It may be at some point you don't need numbers, but for now you need them. So data-driven approach is very important, or not applying it. The other one is lack of focus, distraction. People sometimes have trouble with focus. could be for several reasons why there is no focus, but they get distracted too easily by all kind of stuff, social media, thoughts in their mind, whatever it is. And so they want to do something. Let's say you schedule an hour for yourself and you want to maybe read this book or learn something new, and then something else comes along and then it's gone. So distraction. The other one is working too much, lack of balance. There's only so much time in the day. Unfortunately, time is a precious resource. It's limited every day. And I usually suggest not working more, really working more in a focused state for, let's say, 5 to 6 hours per day. And some of you may now like, what? What is he talking about? 5 to 6 hours? Yes, this is what's considered a healthy amount of workload for your body. And if you do this right, I mean, there is actually other approaches around there that have been investigated decades ago. Remember, there was a book, The 4-Hour Work Week, and some of these ideas basically are still valid, they apply. If you're working more than this, then you're doing something wrong, and you have to learn how to better manage your time. But also, of course, if you achieve a state of a high-performance mindset, the idea is you can get more done in less time. So there's actually more effort that can lead to less outcome if you're being in a state that is not like a high-performance mindset, but let's say a distracted state I mentioned before. Then of course you get less done, and then you need all more time to catch up. So anyhow, working less is important, and finding this balance is a common problem. It's not easy. The other one is driven by the intellectual ego, the egoic mind. And that ego tells you all these stories, how great you are, and that you don't need anything to work on yourself. And maybe it also tells you, oh, you know what, you read already hundreds of books, you're in perfect shape. Why should you do something else? And so the intellectual ego can be your worst enemy, preventing you from personal growth. I will explore this also further. The last one I mention here is lack of present awareness, lack of presence, not connected to the present moment. This is the underlying one for everything. You can't really achieve true leadership mastery if your default state is not rooted in presence. Either it is or it's not. You are present or you're not present. And that makes a huge difference in the quality of everything you do, the quality of your leadership. So being present is key, and the challenge for achieving true leadership mastery is not being enough in the state of presence. So I call it a low LPA, a low level of present awareness. Usually, I mention this in my meetups, LPA is about a typical person if the mind is not trained. I've seen some things like 2%, maybe 1%, maybe 3%. So 2 or 3% of the course of the day when you're really fully present, the rest you're not. So, and that tells you about the quality of your presence, and when you apply it to leadership, it's not resulting in good leadership, unfortunately. That's my experience. So those are some of the common challenges that prevent you from achieving true leadership mastery. I encourage you to reflect on those, which of them you feel, oh yeah, this is something that could be relevant to myself. This is the first step. And if you join me in an upcoming Tech Leader Meetup, we'll go deeper in each of them. We'll have a good discussion, and we'll share, exchange best practices around these and how to overcome them.